Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of What the Real Podcast. I'm your host, Darnell.
And I'm Brittany.
So, guys, make sure you follow us on all those podcast apps out there. Pretty much all of them are on there. So make sure you do that. And how many stars should you give it?
Give us 5 stars, guys. Please give us 5 stars. We want to get known. We want other people to see it. So just go out there, give it a like, let your friends know, share, everything.
Yeah, guys, make sure you do that. Also, we got the YouTube channel. It's brand new. So make sure you go there, give it a like. Make sure you subscribe. It's What the Real Podcast. Pretty easy, pretty simple to remember.
Yep.
And also, if you want to send us an email, any comments or suggestions, what's our email?
Podcastwhatthereal@gmail.com.
Yes. So make sure you do that, and we'll definitely answer any questions or comments you have. So, what are we doing today?
Today we're going to do the movie review of Stir of Echoes.
Yes.
I've never heard of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
When you sent it to me, I was kind of excited because I was like, the title sounds interesting. And to me, that sounded like, just from the title, it sounded like it was going to be something with like paranormal or something like that. So I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be unique. And I looked at the review of what it said it was, and I was like, okay. So I watched it, and I was like, okay, this wasn't a bad movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. It was different.
Yeah, there's this movie. It was on a couple of my lists when we did a few lists, but this is like one of my favorite movies. Like, this is up there really high for me. I just really love this movie. It's not the scariest, but it's just done so well. And Kevin Bacon he does really good job acting in this movie as well.
And I liked how they had the kid incorporated in with it too.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, that was different. Like, usually the kids aren't like the set soul like that, but like the kids started off with it, and then it moved to Kevin Bacon character.
Yeah, and it's like it's done so well. There's no like wasted space in the movie. It's literally starts and then just goes, and there's nothing like, oh my god, they can cut this part out. Every single scene in this movie is like goes toward the plot. It makes sense. There's no like cut, wasted space or anything like that.
Yeah, it was pretty well done. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it in one complete sitting. I had to do a space cut, but that's okay. It was good. I'm probably going to watch it again just because I was writing when I was doing it. So I probably missed some key features of the movie, and just so I can enjoy it over again.
Yeah, as you rewatch the movie, you'll notice certain things with the characters and how they're acting and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably.
You'll notice, like, obviously you know who did it now, but you go back and then you see them looking, like, they give those looks, then you're like, oh, okay.
Makes sense.
They talk, the way they talk and stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah.
I like the comedy in this movie. They had a little bit of comedy all throughout, and I thought that was pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty funny.
Yep. They did good. They did good.
Yeah, it's just all around. This is like one of my favorite movies. I watch this movie all the time. It's just a great movie for me.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I like I said, the title reared me in. Like, I was like, I was like, the title's good, the movie's good, the characters are good. I really like the girl who plays Maggie. I think she did a phenomenal job too.
Yeah, she is. She was in the Law and Order, the one with Vincent, whatever his last name is, the big dude.
Okay.
Plays Kingpin in the Daredevil.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, she's a pretty good known actor. Like the cast is actually really good. Like, a lot of these characters are known. Like, even the girl who plays Samantha, that's the girl that was in House. I just finally put 2 and 2 together.
Oh, that's Cameron.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh! What?
Yeah. So Kevin Bacon's awesome. Even the girl who plays Debbie, the babysitter, she was in some stuff as well.
Oh.
Yeah. She was in that see, some show that my wife watches. I forgot what it is. One of them girly shows.
One of
TV
them girly
shows.
shows. One of them girly shows like I no interest in.
And then also, I think she was in How You Get Away with Murder as well. That TV show.
Oh,
She was in that. Yeah.
never seen it, but I gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and break it down.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. So it starts off with the little kid. You hear a little kid humming a song. You see him humming, and then he's in the tub, playing in with his toys, and he's just talking. He's looking directly at the camera, talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a little confused at first. I was like, is this kid supposed to be looking at the camera like this? Because like you don't know what's going on
Yeah.
until after the scene happens.
Yeah, and that's like one of the number one rules of making a movie. You don't look in the camera.
No, your eyes are supposed to go above it, like above
Yeah.
it or below it or to the side of it.
Yeah, never look in the camera. So you see him looking, talking, and then you see Kevin Bacon's character Tom in the background. He's like on a guitar or something like that.
Yeah, he's
And
playing
then-
guitar.
Yeah, and then I think he gets up. Right before he gets up, the little boy goes, "Can I ask you a question?" And then that's when Kevin Bacon's character picks him up out of the tub, and they're talking about like what pajamas he wants to wear or something like that.
Yeah.
So he ends up getting his pajamas. Tom leaves to go downstairs to go get it, and then the little boy goes, "What is it like to be dead?"
Yep.
And then they cut the camera and just showing him looking at the wall.
And then I was like, okay, this kid's seeing a ghost. There
Yeah.
we go. It's happening early.
Yeah.
I was
Right off
just
the
like-
bat, it shows you, all right, we're about to get into this. Like, it's gonna.
Yeah, they
gonna-
wasted no time. They hopped right on that wagon
Yep.
since the beginning of the movie.
Yep.
And then it goes into finding out his wife is pregnant and is
Mhm.
having another kid.
Yep.
Now, is Lisa her sister?
Yeah, that's Maggie's sister.
That's Maggie's sister.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, they're talking about find out she's pregnant, and then he he says bummer, and she got pissed off at him. She gets pretty pissed off with him like all throughout the movie, pretty much. And then she walks away. And then he goes back to her and like, he was saying that he said he was sorry and he was going to be taking some time off, because he wants to taking time off or no, he said he was going to take time off and to get more hours or something like that. We found out he's a lineman, so he does electric work.
Yeah, electric work. Yep.
Yeah. And then we find out that he was in a band, and that's one of the reasons why he's kind of upset,
Yeah,
because it will take take more time away from his band.
from what he enjoys doing.
Oh well, that makes sense because we always see him on the guitar. I didn't really think about that.
They showed it right away in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
They made
Um,
sure to set that, like they set up things good in this movie,
Yeah.
like to make sure that's gonna play a part in the movie, which
Yeah.
is good. I like that about this movie. Like you said, nothing is wasted.
Nothing wasted. Yeah, nothing.
Everything has a purpose.
They end up putting Jake to bed, and right when he's in bed, he looks and he goes shh. So he's talking to someone. He tells him shh, be quiet.
Yeah, the dad
Yeah.
turns off all the lamps. Tom
Yeah.
turns off all the lights and puts his little night light on. And as soon as he walks out, he's like, shh.
Yeah.
And then while supposedly the kid's sleeping,
Mm.
Tom and Maggie go to a party that's right across the street.
Yeah.
I guess, is it Lisa's house?
No, they were at their house. Oh no, it was at I think it's not. It's just some random character's house.
It's just some random character's house that just happens to be across the street.
They show him for it, but he's not. I don't think he's named, but they show him. He talks. He has a couple lines, but they don't really. He's not like a real character. He's like some side character.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
He's like 2 scenes of the movie, and that's it. Yeah. So, yeah. One thing I got to say about this movie: there's a lot of parties going on.
Yeah.
It's constantly a lot of parties, football games. They had a little They had a what was that? What do you call them when they block the street off? I'm thinking
A block party?
Block party, duh. Yeah, they had a block party as well. There's plenty of parties all throughout this movie.
Yeah. So they go to the party and they're talking and stuff like that. And then I didn't really write down what happens at that. I just skipped to the hypno part. write down
There
what
was
happened?
a lot of talking. The one guy, Frank, he gets caught looking at some boobs.
Yeah.
His wife gets mad at him.
She's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oops."
But yeah, then they're talking. Yeah, then the party's over and they're all just sitting down and they're talking about hypnosis.
Yeah, and Tom's character is like, "Ha ha ha, that's a joke. What are you talking about? This stuff doesn't work."
Yeah.
And Lisa's like, "No, I seen it for real. It really happened. I witnessed the guy was hypnotized and they stuck a tube in this guy's arm and he didn't even feel it at all. And I saw the mark to prove that it happened." And he's like, "How about you do it to me?" And he's like, "Nah, you've been drinking. We can't perform it on you." He's like, "Nah, I'm fine. I'm fine. You can do it on me."
Yeah.
So she's like, "Okay, we're gonna do it on you." And she tells him, "Relax, relax. Put your arm down. Close your eyes. Listen to all the noise around you. Pretend to be in a movie theater, a black movie theater. All the walls are black. All the seats are black. And then you start to notice letters on a white screen. They're blurry. Then they start to come into focus. And the word sleep appears. And then he just wakes up all weird.
Yeah.
He jumps up.
One thing before he says, I wrote down, he goes, yeah, what's the worst thing that could happen when they're talking about getting hypnotized?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, sleep. And then, but he did see like a couple of visions before he woke up. So I
Yeah.
think he saw a vision of her like shaking her head with the bag, with the plastic over her head. And then he wakes up like, oh my God, what the hell happened? And everyone's like laughing at him. He's like, oh my God.
They stuck a safety pin
Yeah.
in his hand, and he said it didn't hurt. And supposedly he was the 8% that can go under, like, fully
Full.
go underneath, hypnotized,
Yeah.
like that.
Safety pin in his hand. They told him bleed on one side, but not the other when they put the safety pin in his hand.
Yeah.
He goes to Maggie, he's like, oh my God, I feel like crap. I want to go home. So yeah, he goes home. And then he's in bed and they're actually showing like the hypnosis, like he's sleeping, but they're showing the hypnosis from like a different angle. So you see him like in the chair and he's floating to the actual screen.
Yeah.
But then he wakes up and then that's when Maggie starts to get a little freaky.
Yeah.
They start having sex, and then while they're having sex, he starts seeing visions again of this crazy, like something's going on. He sees like a girl. He sees like blood that squirts onto the ground. Then the fingernail
breaking.
breaks.
That like makes me, I don't even know. That just makes me, I don't even know how to describe it. When I see that just.
That cringe, like, oh.
Oh.
Yeah, and then the sound it makes too, almost sound like you bite into an apple. Like
yeah, it's like nails on the chalkboard.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah. Then he just wakes up right away, and he says he felt like he was getting attacked, and she was like, "Oh well, damn. How do you think I felt?" Like, so then after that, he goes to the bathroom. He takes a pill, and then he sees that his teeth is like blood on his teeth or coming down his mouth or something.
Yeah,
like that.
the cup he was drinking out of has blood in it, and then he goes to pull something out of his mouth. Was that a tooth?
Yeah, it was his tooth he pulled out.
He pulled out his tooth?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was an extra tooth or something. And he pulled it out and dropped it in the sink. And then he realized it was nothing. There was nothing, nothing there.
And then from there, he goes straight to the refrigerator. He's down in drinks and orange juice and stuff like that.
He's always thirsty after this. So just keep in mind, if he's having a vision, he's always thirsty.
Yeah. And then that's when he sits down, he turns the TV on, actually gets up to get the remote, turn the TV on. As he leans back, he turns and he sees a girl.
Yep.
And she's like kind of almost like trying to talk to him. And then he turns the TV off and looks again, and then she's gone. He's like, what the hell?
Did that just happen?
Yeah.
And then he's like, holy crap, do I go upstairs? What do I do? And then he sees his kid at the top of the stairs, and his kid's like, said, don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, don't be afraid of it.
which is really freaking creepy.
Yeah.
Could you imagine your kid saying that to you after what you just saw?
Yeah.
I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, yo.
Yeah, it's wild. The boy does such a good job being like the little creepy kid, you know.
Yeah, he does do a good job. He plays it well.
Um and then he actually explains to Maggie about he's seen some girl on the couch and she gets pissed and is like, is this some girl that you had sex with? Like
Yeah, you used to sleep with?
Oh, and then he talks to Maggie and then he asks her did she mess up anything when she did the hypnosis on him?
No, she talks to Lisa.
He talks.
Lisa.
Oh,
Lisa.
I get the names mixed up. It is Lisa. Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa.
He talks to Lisa. He calls her. And then she says, "Yeah, well, just the one thing, that for him to be more open to take everything in,
Yeah, exactly.
like it be like an open door."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then she's looking for a babysitter.
The babysitter,
Maggie's
yeah.
looking for a babysitter, and she tries to call Lisa, and Lisa's like, "No more phone calls from me," after she just hung up with Tom.
Yeah.
And then Jake is like, "How about you call Vanessa and get Debbie to come over to watch?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, that's a great idea." So they call up Vanessa and asked her if she was doing anything Friday night for her to come over. So Debbie's coming over to babysit.
Yeah. And right before while she was dialing the number and it was ringing, she goes like, "Oh, who told you that?" And he says, "Oh, Samantha told me." And then she answers the phone. She picks up the phone right when
Oh, yeah, I
he
didn't
says
write that
that, and she didn't
down.
really even she didn't hear it really.
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, Samantha told me."
Yeah. So Debbie, the babysitter, comes over and like Tom opens the door and just looks at each other weird. Like she's like weirded out by him. Like,
Mhm.
what is going on? Like, why are you staring at me? And she's like, I'm Debbie Korzak, the babysitter. And he's like, I'm Tom. So she comes in and she goes and sits down, and then Maggie comes and's like, the kitchen's over there, his bedroom's upstairs, last door on the right,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And then they get ready to go, and then as they're walking out, Tom once again stares at the babysitter, being all weird.
Yeah, and then if you look, then it turns red. You hear
Oh
you
yeah,
see
he
the
keeps
red,
seeing the red lights
Yeah.
on her. That's the second time he saw it, when they opened the door
Yeah.
and when they were leaving.
Yeah. And he's saying like, "What the heck is going on with this red light?" So
Yeah.
they actually leave to go to it was a football game. And
Yeah.
while they're going, we hear Frank talking about his son, saying his son's really good football player and he's gonna get a good scholarship and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then while they're doing that, he's looking at the
Taillights.
taillights and stuff. He sees that red again, so he's like uneasy, like he's not sure what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Then it goes back to Debbie, and she's reading a book, and then she hears Jake talking through the baby
The baby monitor.
baby monitor, and he's saying like, "Oh, what did he say? He said, oh, I don't know, I didn't see her yet, or something like that."
I don't know. I didn't
Yeah.
write it down, but she goes up there and it's like, who? She's like,
who
who
you
are you
talking
talking
to?
to? And
Yeah.
she's like, oh, I'm talking to Samantha. And she freaked out.
Yeah.
And she's like, who is Samantha?
Yeah.
And she grabs the kid and takes him to the train station. Tom has a vision and is like that she's taking the kid, the red light. So he goes running. He goes to the house, realizes the kid's not there. He's gonna find him, and they're just running down the street. Maggie's following behind, and they end up at the train station and they find him. And then she goes to grab the kid, and the cop's there, and the cop's like, "Is that your kid?" And he's like, "I can tell by this it's not." And the cop's like, "You know what you did is a felony." And she's crying.
Mhm.
And she's like, "I was just taking them to see my mother. Samantha went missing last March."
Yeah. And then she actually has a picture of Samantha, and he shows it to Maggie. He's like, "You ever seen her?" And she was like, "No." And then showed it to Tom. Tom looked at it pretty good, and then he was like, "No, I haven't seen her." And then they Maggie wanted to press charges against for Debbie, and Tom was like, "Nah, don't worry about it."
Yeah, Tom's like, "No."
We're
And
good.
Maggie's like, what if she babysits someone else?
Yeah.
What if she does that to them?
And then he goes, "Oh no, that was the girl. That was the girl I seen on the couch, Samantha." And then right when that happened, so they were talking about how did they even get the name of Debbie to babysit, and then that's when Maggie realized that she heard Jake say he heard it from Samantha.
Yes.
Yeah, and then that's when they go talk to Jake about Samantha. Tom is like really like pushing on him, like, "Hey, all right, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's going on." And he's like arguing, and then that's when he said, "What exactly when he said when his voice changed?"
He's like, what did you just say? Do that voice
Yeah.
again. Do it again. Please
Yeah.
do it again.
It was like, don't. I forgot exactly what he said. He was like, "Yeah, don't talk to me" or something like that, or no, talk to me. He was like, almost like it was Samantha talking through him, talk to me or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was like flipping out. Yeah. And then pretty much they got into an argument because Maggie doesn't want him constantly, trying to get him to say anything.
Yeah.
And then that's when Jake says, "I'm not, I don't want to talk right now because it makes mommy scared."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It scares mom. So then that was that. Then we see Tom. He's trying to see Samantha again. He's on the couch with the TV and trying to turn the TV on and lean back on the couch to see if he can see her or not.
Yeah, he does that multiple times throughout the movie.
Trying to get her to see her. Then he goes. Then that's when they have the block party.
Yep, the block party.
Yeah.
And then he's asking about Sam,
Mm.
and everyone's like, "Oh, the retard," and he's like, "Oh, don't use that word."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, she went missing like 6 months ago. Let me find out from this guy. I'll call him over." And no one's like, "No, we haven't seen her. She's just been missing."
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, why are you thinking about her?" He was like, "Oh, because Debbie, her sister, babysit for us." He was like, "Oh, okay." Like, it was just weird.
And he's like, "I've been thinking about her a lot lately."
Yeah. And then that's where she finds out about, what's the guy's name? Harry. That Harry actually rents the house to them.
Yes.
That's when we find that out. Because actually, Tom asked Harry, "Hey, did anyone live in the house before us?" And he was like, "No, you're the first residents that they're renting." And then after that, let's see. Oh, that's when we see Tom. He wakes up out of bed.
Yeah.
He's in bed. He wakes up, can't find his boot, and then he sees it under the bed.
And then the other one's underneath the bed, and then the guy Fred is there. He says someone's gonna shoot. Someone's gonna kill him.
Yeah, they're gonna kill you and Maggie both. He says.
Yeah, and then they go outside, and then he leaves and goes to Fred's. Realize Fred's son has a gun.
Yeah.
And he shoots himself, and then he wakes up.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh crap!" He wakes up, and then he looks for his boots, and he's like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
My boots are in the same spots. He's like, "Please don't let it be underneath there." There's a note on the mirror from Maggie saying he took Jake to the park. Same thing.
Yeah.
But the only difference is Fred isn't there, but he still goes to Fred's house, and the son still shoots himself.
Yeah.
He takes a chair. He breaks through the window. He's screaming for help, and we don't know if he's going to live. He was still alive at that point, but he just shoots himself.
Yeah, you see Frank and his wife show up, and they see him at the ambulance and all that. And then there's a little spot right there when that happens. Like, I caught it because I already know what's going on. But when you see they're putting the kid into the ambulance, that's when the other boy shows up. He runs up and looks and sees what happens.
Yeah.
And he goes back to probably tell his dad.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't notice that. I'll probably notice it the second time I watch the movie.
As I said, there's a lot of stuff that you'll notice with the boys and all that.
Usually when you watch a movie a second time, that's when you notice a lot of things that you don't notice the first time.
Yeah.
And then it jumps to Maggie and Jake. They're like just doing random twists and turns, jumping, and they hear bagpipes playing, and Jake's like, "Oh, you hear that music? It's beautiful." And he goes in, and there's a funeral going on, and he goes up to a cop, And the cop turns around and does a little wave at him, and he waves back at him.
Yeah.
And Maggie's like, I don't think we're supposed to be here. So they're walking. And Jake said, what was it? He said, and the kid says, wow, this place is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. Then they're walking, and the guy is following them.
Yeah.
And then he comes up to him, and she's like, "Hey, am I okay to be here? We're okay." And he was like, "Yeah. Don't worry about it."
And he's like saying how he's a receiver. No, that's not yet. He's saying, make sure your husband comes see me,
Yeah.
and gives him his card. And then when he goes to walk away, Jake says, bye, Neil. He knew his name, and
Yeah.
he never said his name to begin with.
Yeah, and actually, the guy says bye to Jake too. He goes, "Bye, Jake," and then he goes, "Yeah, bye, Neil," and he goes, "His name is Neil."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then she's like, "Okay." Then we see Jake. You see Tom playing on the guitar, trying to figure out this note. He constantly hearing this song in his head. He's trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then
Jake shows him. He's
him
like,
the notes.
how about you try this? And shows him 2 separate notes. And he's like, I know this from somewhere.
Yeah.
I know this.
Yeah, I know this song. So that's when so he's trying to find the song and all that, and then Maggie, she goes and grabs a knife, and then she leaves.
Yeah, she's like, bye guys.
Yeah.
And no one's acknowledging her.
Attention to her. So she leaves, and then she went to go see Neil. It's kind of crazy. Like, she goes, knocks on the door, sees some old guy with some oxygen and all this.
Yeah. He's like, I have no clue who she is. And he's like, you're supposed to bring the husband here. And he's like, she's like, he would never agree to come here.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And they're talking, and he was saying how he's a receiver now.
Mhm.
You have to figure out what she wants. She's not going to go away until you give her what she wants.
Yeah.
And she's only going to get angrier and angrier until
Yeah.
it happens.
Until it happens, yeah. He says it's like a tunnel with a flashlight, and his flashlight just turning on and off every now and then. And then he says, "Your son, much better flashlight."
Yes.
She's going to keep and then that's when we see a little bit different. That's when we see Samantha. She gets a little mad. She starts doing some crazy stuff now.
Yeah.
It's not just visions now. Samantha is like actually doing some crazy stuff. So we see Maggie. She's about to go into the take a bath. And that's when Jake is watching TV. We see Samantha put her hand in the water and actually makes it really cold while she goes in. She's about to step in the water into the tub. And then she messes with Samantha messes with the TV with Jake's trying to watch a movie.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to talk right now.
Yeah.
And then she keeps changing the channel on him.
Yeah, and then he unplugs the TV, and the TV's still on.
Yeah.
He gives this crazy look.
And then Maggie goes downstairs and was like to Tom, I need you to go downstairs. I think the pilot light came out. Tom's in his own little world.
Yeah.
He's still trying to figure out this note. He's like, I need to figure this out. So she goes down there. She goes to go light it, but it's lit.
Yeah.
And so she's like, and then Sam, you see her, she grabs the light bulb and turns off on her, and she hits her head.
Hits her head, yes. Oof.
And then she comes up, and then Tom is in like a vision.
Yeah.
Like the room has all plastic all over it and stuff like that. It's cold. There's an orange jacket on the floor, and Sam is standing there, and they like put their hands over the top of each other, and Sam like seems like she's like sucking the life out of him. You would say that, right?
Yeah, because like when he puts his hand over her hand, like it turns into her hand.
Yeah.
And then you see all the air just getting sucked out of him, and he just can't breathe. And then we see Maggie. She walks into the room and sees him just with his arm up, not breathing. And then that's when she grabs him by his head, and then he just finally gets air. Pulls him away from out of the vision. He gets air. Then he rushes to get some more, I think, OJ or something. He drinks something crazy.
Him and his OJ.
Yeah. And then he goes back to Lisa
Yeah.
to be hypnotized again.
To close the door that
Yeah.
she opens.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, be back in that movie theater with the white screen. And there's something there on the screen again. No, there's someone there. And she's like, no, you're there alone. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, there
There's
is
someone
somebody there.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you're all alone. And he's like, no, there's somebody there. And he turns around and it's Sam. And she's like, you see a word on the screen and it's dig. And the word dig appears and he wakes up. He's freaking out and he's like, I know what I need to do. I need to dig. And she's like, are you okay? Freaking out. He's drinking a beer.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you need a beer or something?
Yeah, it's just craziness. And then then we see him digging in the backyard.
Yeah, Maggie comes home
Yeah.
and she has groceries in her hands and she sees dirty footprints in the house and she's like, well, that's a mess I'm not cleaning up.
Yeah.
And then she goes to the backyard and she sees Jake and him digging in the backyard looking for her body.
Yeah. And then she goes up to him like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm digging. He's like, why? What are you digging for? He's like, we know what I'm digging for.
Yeah.
Question is, where?
Exactly.
Then she's pissed that, he's doing that. Tom, you can see Tom starting to go a little nuts. Like, he's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, and he said this is like the most important thing
Yeah.
he's ever had to do.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not okay with my stupid life I have. And she's like, well, if you're calling our life stupid, I don't know if I want to be part of this. And she's like, if you ever talk to me again like this, so help me. And she walks away and he comes in and he's like, who's that from? And she's like, my brother. And he's like, oh, did your grandmother die?
Yeah.
And then gets the phone call about it, and she's like, "You knew? How did you know?"
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like she got a fax or something from her brother. She was like, "Oh, my grandmother's back in the hospital." He goes, "No, she's not." And then he stops. It stops himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the phone rings, and then she finds out her grandmother died. So he's outside digging some more, and then she's like, "Oh, you knew," and she's like, "All right, well, you gotta get ready for the funeral and all that stuff." And he goes, "Oh, you want me to go?"
He's like, "I'm doing something kind of important."
She got pissed again, and then she ran back in the house and closed the back door so hard that it shattered the glass.
Yep.
So she's pretty pissed.
She leaves with Jake. They go to the funeral. He's digging. He goes down to the cellar because he was trying to get the hose to reach to the back part of the yard, and it wouldn't reach, and the water wouldn't turn on.
Yeah.
So he's like, I need to fix this. So he goes down to the cellar, and he's like, I need to dig down here.
Yeah. One little tidbit though, right when he was changing the water, he got pissed off, started running to the house, and he kicks the bucket, and the bucket goes into the window.
Oh, and breaks the window. Yeah.
So I actually found out that was not planned. Like that actually, he wasn't supposed to break the window, but he ends up breaking the window and just plays it off. Like, that's just how good of an actor Kevin Bacon is, just to keep playing it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
A little tidbit that I found out.
Well, he did good.
Yeah.
He did real good.
Just to keep it in character,
Yeah, I'm surprised. I would have left character. I would have been like, oh my God, did I just do that?
Yeah, I know, right? Like, oh shoot, my bad.
So he's down there, and then he realizes he needs to start digging in the cellar. So he takes his pickaxe and he's breaking down there, and he's like, I need tools.
Yeah.
So you see him, he goes to the store and he's looking and he sees a jackhammer.
Yeah, he grabs that.
And he buys a jackhammer.
Yeah, and then we see him
that boy
taking off the truck, and then you see him taking like a generator as well, and then that's when Frank's wife sees him taking the damn generator, and then she runs off. I guess to tell Frank that, then he starts using the jackhammer to start breaking away the concrete, and he's like screaming that he's doing it, and everyone out can hear him from outside and
the whole
stuff.
neighborhood hears him.
Then one guy, I guess Harry, he hears it outside. He goes, it's a rental. Like
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
pissed.
Yeah,
Um,
because he knows what's going on. And
yeah.
Tom like kind of trashes the house.
Oh yeah,
Like
it's pretty
he
bad.
messes it up. And then he accidentally hits the wall with the pickaxe
Yeah.
and knocks it down a little bit. And he's like, oh, snap. And he just continues breaking down the wall. And then he sees plastic and he grabs a knife. He
Mm.
cuts it open. He sees an orange coat and realizes Samantha.
Yeah.
So what does he do? He
So-
touches the body.
Yep.
It's like a mummified body,
Mhm.
and he touches it.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah. He
Disgusting.
he just grabs her whole hand, little.
And he goes into a vision,
Mm-hmm.
and this vision shows what happens to her. You
Yeah.
want to tell what happens?
Yeah. So we see Samantha, and she's walking down the street, and then you see, I think one of the boys is named Adam. I forgot the other's kid, but he says, "Oh, hey, how you doing? Won't you come hang out with us and stuff like that?" And she goes in there, and he goes like, "Oh, we want you to be our friend, And obviously, she's not. I don't know if she wasn't like, she had like a disability or she was just awkward, but they didn't really. The one guy says she's
Yeah.
but we don't know.
That's not good.
She
word
just
to
could be.
use.
She just could be awkward. But they're like, "Oh, we want to be your friend," and and then she was like, "Oh, well, you can kiss me if you want." And then that's when the one kid, they start drinking a little bit, and then he gets a little aggressive with her, and she's like, "No, we need to stop. This is, obviously I don't want to do this." And then like she tries to like fight him off,
Yep.
and he ends up grabbing her jacket and like pulls on her and lets go, and she just goes face first into the floor, and that's when her tooth just shoots out,
Yeah.
and the blood, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And she starts screaming, and the other kid jumps on her and starts trying to take her clothes off, and she's still screaming, and then he's like, "All right, you need to stop screaming," and then he tells the other kid to turn the radio up, so they turn the radio up to that song,
Yep.
Paint It Black. He turns up the radio, and she's still screaming. He's like, "All right, give me something to make her quiet," and then that's when he gets plastic, and they cover her up in plastic, thinking like, "Oh yeah, that's gonna make her quiet."
Yeah. It's gonna be forever.
So ends up doing that, and then you see her, pretty much she dies, and the way they do it with the camera is just have like it's going like, I don't know how you explain that. The camera's like going backwards, and you see them getting smaller
Yeah.
as she's dying. But she ends up dying. And then we see Tom wakes up, and he's like, "Holy crap, I know what happens." Right before that scene though, he talks to Maggie, and she calls him on the phone. He's like, "Hey, are you done digging?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm done digging." She was like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna come pick you up."
Oh yes.
And he was like, "Oh, no, don't worry about it, because I got the company car. They want me to drive it." She was like, "No, I'll be there in an hour, and I'm gonna come pick you up." And she just hangs up on him. He's like, "Oh crap." So that's and then she's about to take Jake with her, and Jake was like, "No, I don't want to go because of the
Yeah.
feathers." He's like, "What do you mean about feathers?" She's like, just feathers. I don't know." And then she was like, "Okay," so she left him there, and then Jake is like, "Oh, don't forget your purse." So he gives her purse, which had the knife in it.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, he wakes up. Tom wakes up, and then he goes to see Frank. And then he talks to Frank. He goes to Frank's house like, "Hey, I know why Adam shot himself."
Yeah.
And so they go back to his house, and where they see the body, and Frank is like, "Well, it's just a body. We don't know how it happened. You can't, there's not enough evidence to point to the boys."
And he's like, "Well, they have hair
Yeah.
in their hand.
Yeah, it's a hair in their head. Most
They're
likely
gonna
it's
trace it back."
Yeah. And then that's the craziness happened. Then we hear Frank goes, "Well, we didn't know what they're young, it was just an accident." And then you see Tom's like, "Holy crap, he knew about it,
Yeah.
And he's like, "The boys came to us, and it was just an accident, it already happened. It's already, she's already dead, it's already happened, they got their whole lives ahead of them."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Oh, I've been living with this for 6 months." And then we see him pull the gun out.
Yep.
He's like, Tom is like, "All right, what are you gonna do with that gun?" And he was like, "Get out of here." And he was like, no, I'm not leaving. And then one thing is still a little bit of comedy at this last part. He's like, get out of here. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna leave. And then he shoots. And then right when he shoots Tom was like, oh, I gotta go. And he just ran away. And for
Yeah.
me, I just thought that was funny. But then you see Tom is leaving and then hears a gunshot. So he thinks, all right, Frank
So
just
you
killed
think
himself.
he killed himself? Yeah.
You think Frank just killed himself.
Yeah.
So right when he gets out, then you hear the doorbell.
Yep.
And then he goes there and then he sees Harry and his son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Harry is his son. He's like, oh, what are you doing? He's like, I've been hearing a lot of stuff going on. What are you doing in my house?
He's like, it's really not a good time
Yeah,
right now. I'm
yeah.
really busy.
Then he just barges in and he's like, oh my God, look what you did to my house. And then he goes, oh, was trying to get to the water line or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, the water line doesn't go under the house. And he's like, oh, well, I know that now. So then he throws his son a bottle of liquor. He's like, yeah, down that right now. Make sure you drink that. And then Tom, he goes, oh, I gotta go. And then he grabs the keys. And then he actually puts it like as knuckles.
Yeah.
So he ends up punching Harry and then like pushing his son out the way. And then they pretty much jump on him and they're about to shoot.
Yeah.
They like pull him on the actual carpet. He was like, put him on the carpet. All right, let's shoot him. And then right when they're about to shoot Tom, and then that's when Maggie pulls up.
And you hear the horn.
Hear the horns, yeah.
The horn's honking. She is honking away
Yeah, she's like,
at that. And they're just waiting. And then eventually she's getting tired of waiting. She goes in the house. She tries to turn on the lights, but the light's not turning on.
mhm.
So she goes to the lamp. She turns on the lamp, and that's when she gets jumped.
Yeah, she gets jumped on.
And then she stabs the guy in the foot. And the one guy pulls out a gun. And then, what's his name? Fred?
Frank.
Frank comes out of nowhere and shoots them too.
Yep, shoots both of them.
And they made it known that one of the bullets went through the kid's pillow. Like
Yeah.
it was shot up. So if the kid was sleeping, it would have shot him right in the head and all the feathers were flying.
They're flying, yep.
And
right in the
Frank
pillow.
goes, I told you them two were trying to kill you. And that was from his dream.
It's from the dream. And he was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, they were going to kill you both. And they were like, oh. And then and then they go outside and he's sitting down and he goes, yeah, this was a good neighborhood. And pretty much he said that in the dream as well. So it's just crazy that it all plays together.
Yeah.
Then,
Sam is finally free.
yes.
Shows Sam with her jacket,
on
and then walks in the street and then just disappears.
Yep.
And then it shows Maggie and Tom. They're moving. And then it shows Jake is just hearing all kinds of voices.
Yeah, they're driving away and he just hears constantly people talking, whispering, and then it gets a little crazy sounding, like demonic voices a little bit. And then he just puts his hands over his ears, and then he just ends it like that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. Did you know there's a sequel to this movie?
I saw that.
Oh.
Did
I don't
you
know
watch it?
I have not watched it. No. As stars Rob Lowe though. So I haven't watched it. Maybe I'll watch it and check it out and see.
Let me know.
Yeah, because I mean, this movie is like one of my favorite movies, so I'm sure the sequel is probably not going to be good.
Probably not.
I mean, I even heard about it, so it's probably not good. But yeah, like I said, I enjoy this movie a lot. I love this movie. So what are you going to give it?
On a 5-star rating, I'm probably gonna give it a 3.5.
Okay, that's good. I'm going to give it 4 stars.
Okay.
I love this movie. I think it's really good. One caveat though with the feathers thing. So, I thought about this a lot. If Jake went with Maggie, he wouldn't be in bed anyway.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, because she went there to go pick him up, and then she got jumped on. So, just Jake would have been just there downstairs.
Exactly.
He wouldn't be in bed. Yeah, that's only like the only plot part that didn't really make any sense. But unless he was always home, then so if if Jake
But
was
they
home,
always show him sleeping in
Yeah.
his bed.
So if Jake stayed home with Tom when he was digging and didn't go to the funeral, then he would have been in bed.
Yeah, so it could have
Yeah.
played out like
It could
that.
have played out that
so.
way. Yeah. So he would have got shot then. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense a little bit. That
Yeah.
sounds a little bit better. Maybe that's why he wanted to make sure he went to the funeral. But yeah, great movie. I definitely enjoy this movie. I've seen this movie so many times. Yeah, one of my favorites. So I
Wow.
just love this movie.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really
Pretty
good.
good.
Solid movie. Like I said, it's not the scariest, but it's just a good story. Really good story.
But it gives you enough of like that creepiness.
Yeah, it's
to
definitely
it.
creepy. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So yeah, guys. So let us know what you thought of Stir of Echoes. Did you like it? Did you not? Let us know. Yeah, just leave it in the comments. If you have any other movies for us to review, make sure you let us know as well. I think we're gonna be doing some bad movie reviews, either bad movie reviews or so bad it's good movie reviews.
Okay.
So look forward to that.
Yep.
We're gonna be doing that soon as well. So yeah, guys. So yeah, make sure you leave us some comments, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye.
Peace out.